When you think of the Toronto Blue Jays, which player pops into your mind? Because I can tell you without a doubt the majority of people will say Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Don't believe me? Well, I asked a few of my friends who are Red Sox fans, by the way, this exact question, and here is what they had to say.
When I think of a Blue Jays dude, I think of the future, man. I think of Vladdy. He's tough.
Buddy, without a doubt, we're going with Vladdy.
Is there really any surprise though? When he was a minor leaguer, he was already a well-known name around the MLB, with his 2018 season being regarded as one of the best in minor league history. And this is the time when he was being compared to a certain someone named Miguel Cabrera. You know, the guy who is headed to the Hall of Fame, received multiple MVP awards, and had the first offensive triple crown in 45 years? Yeah, that guy. But that was 5 years ago, and as we all know, Vladdy has not lived up to those hefty expectations. What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be going over whether or not the 2023 Vlad is who we should become accustomed to, or if he can bounce back and prove to the MLB world once again that he's not a bust. Let's get into it. To start off, I want to talk about the 3 stages of Vladdy's career, with the first one being the pre-boom. This was between 2019 and 2020, and during this time, Vladdy was still a raw major leaguer with only 183 games played. But during this time, he showed flashes of his potential. I'm talking 120 miles per hour off the bat, no doubter homers, and an insane home run derby in which he faced off against already established home run king Pete Alonso in the finals at just 20 years old. It seemed like all he needed was some more time to put it all together, which came in the following season. And that brings us to stage 2, the boom. In 2021, Vladdy was coming off the heels of just a 60-game regular season and a tiny taste of the postseason. Sure, it could have hindered his development because of the lack of games, but he came prepared. During that year, we saw the man who terrorized poor minor league pitchers with his MLB leading 48 home runs, well over 100 RBIs, and runs, plus a 1000 OPS, which we haven't seen since Jose Bautista did it in 2011. This is it, we were finally witnessing our #1 prospect explode in the majors. Not to mention, this was also the first time we got to witness a competitive Blue Jays team since 2016. Yeah, I'm not really counting 2020. But unfortunately, we are now at the 3rd stage, which is the post-boom. This ranges from 2022 to 2023, and during these 2 years, we have seen Vladdy revert back to his pre-boom era of hitting balls hard into the ground and soft whenever it's elevated. But don't get me wrong, his numbers are still better than 99% of big leaguers, but when you're Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a 271 average and a 460 slugging percentage are just not good enough, and he knows it. This is now the 5th season of his big league career and the 4th in which we were saying the production hasn't been there. I will be a little less judgmental on 2019 and 2020 because it was his rookie season and the COVID year, but still, his numbers the first 2 years and previous 2 are pretty shocking. With just a 270 average, 339 OBP, and a 444 slugging for a 783 OPS. But instead of using slugging percentage, I want to introduce a different one which is better to use when talking about a player's power capabilities, and that is ISO. Let me tell you about it. ISO is a measure of a hitter's raw power and tells you how often a player hits for extra bases, basically determining the degree in which a given hitter provides extra base hits as opposed to singles. And the formula for this is easy. It's just slugging percentage minus average. It's a good tool to use because not all slugging percentages are created equally. Let me show you. Luis Arraez has a 456 slugging. That's pretty good. For reference, that's ahead of Matt Chapman, who owns just a 431 slugging, even though he has 14 more extra base hits. And this is all due to the fact that Arraez has hit way more singles. That's why you should start using ISO instead of slugging when determining a player's power capabilities. But anyways, now let's bring this over to Vladdy, and as mentioned before, he has a 439 slugging this year and a 268 batting average, which means he has an ISO of 171. And if we look at how good that is against the entire league, then we can see he's only ranked 46th best in baseball. It's crazy to think that Vlad Jr., who is supposed to be one of the biggest power hitters in all of the league, is that low. This is just barely ahead of Ezequiel Tovar and behind Andrew Vaughn. Not the greatest company to be in. With all this in mind, I think it's pretty obvious that the cards are stacked against him in whether or not the 2021 season was an outlier. But I'm happy that we can say, oh man, I missed 2021 Vlad, or if we had that version of Vlad on this team, man, we'd be so good. Because that means that there's still reason to believe that he can get back to that form. After all, he's just 24 years old, and nowadays some superstars like Aaron Judge didn't even have an at-bat until they were 24. His best days could very well be ahead of him, and we just don't know it yet. So let me ask you, do you think that Vladdy can revive his form from 2021 and become the catalyst in this offense once again? Also, if you want to check out my latest video, then click on this little pop-up right here.